If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The camera's here and the microphones, and they wanna know. The return.
So first things first, what is reverse pyramid training? Reverse pyramid training, in short RPT, is a style of training where you start with your heaviest set first when you're completely fresh, and then pyramid down to a lighter weight, usually with more reps for the latter sets. For example, here's my good friend Rareș doing a standing press RPT style. After doing a few warm-up sets with a lighter weight, he starts with a weight he can only do 5 reps with. That's his first set. Then he rests 2 or 3 minutes, so he takes a full rest period, and he does his second set, this time lowering the weight so he can get 6 reps in. For this, he usually has to reduce the weight by 5 to 10% compared to the first one. After that, he rests again 2 or 3 minutes and does his third set, this time with a weight he can get 7 or 8 reps with. And that's it. Standing press done. Now you may be thinking, what? 3 sets? Isn't that too little? You're completely right. The volume is very low, but that is the key benefit of RPT. Because you're using very high intensity and you're lifting very close to your limit in all sets, that means you can get a complete training stimulus with much less volume. Your first set, the heaviest one, is the most important, because that one is the one that stimulates strength gains the most and also muscle gains, and it requires your full strength potential. You won't be able to replicate that set for the rest of the workout. Then the follow-up sets take care of the volume part of the equation, because of course enough volume is essential for muscle growth. Those latter sets provide enough volume in different rep ranges, which stimulate muscle growth. In fact, RPT works well only with low to moderate volume, because when intensity goes up, volume needs to go down. Otherwise, you won't be able to recover properly between training sessions. This is very important because a lot of people, when they learn about this style of training, they use it in their routines without changing the volume and frequency, and it works horrible. So make sure to avoid that. Something worth noting here is that because you can get a complete training stimulus with a lower volume, that makes RPT very well suited for cutting. We know that the most important factor for maintaining muscle mass while cutting is maintaining the load on the bar, because your muscles were forced to adapt to their current level by lifting heavy weights, and you need to maintain the stimulus that caused the adaptation in order to keep it. So if in a calorie deficit your recovery capacity is reduced, that means you could lower the volume and maintain the intensity, and by doing that you can maintain all your muscle mass. So reverse pyramid training is a very good way to do that. On the other hand, when lean bulking, RPT is a great way to make rapid strength gains, which will lead to muscle gains. However, for some muscle groups, if you want to bring up a certain muscle group, you may need to do more volume for it. Or you may want to maximize sarcoplasmic growth for certain muscle groups. In that case, you're gonna have to combine reverse pyramid training with another style of training, because you can't do a lot of volume only with reverse pyramid training. As I said, it impairs recovery. For that extra volume, you could use something like straight sets or maybe standard pyramid training, and you will be able to do more training without impairing recovery. Also, if you want to see how reverse pyramid training compares to other training styles, then like ascending pyramid training or straight sets, then check out this article that I'm showing you right here. The link is in the description. Or you can just pause the video and read this section here. It's only a few paragraphs. Alright, my rant is over. Let's go back to the gym. Depending on how your workout routine is set up, you may work in a higher or lower rep range. Me and Rareș, for example, are using the Greek God program, which asks for 3 sets. The first one 5 reps, second one 6 reps, and the third one 8 reps. Let's say for simplicity that you'd use this routine too. So that's how you'd start reverse pyramid training. Now let's talk about warming up. Evidently, we're going to warm up before jumping into our heavy set, otherwise injury will be inevitable. The goal of the warm-up is to prepare our nervous system as well as our mind for the heavy effort. A good way to get ready for your heavy set without getting fatigued is to perform 2 or 3 gradually heavier build-up sets of 5 to 1 rep. I recommend you do 3 sets for your warm-up. 5 sets with 60% of the weight you're going to use in your first set, then 3 reps with 75%, and finally 1 rep with 90%. You should rest 1 minute between warm-up sets and 2 or 3 minutes before starting your first work set. Also, you only need to warm up for 1 exercise for each muscle group. For example, if you're doing both flat and incline bench press in the same workout, then if you did flat first, you don't need to warm up for incline again, because your nervous system as well as your mind will be prepared for the heavy load. With that said, if you feel that you need the warm-up, then by all means take it, because it's better to avoid injury, or it's better to practice the movement a few more times before jumping into your heavy set, and some extra warm-up sets are very helpful sometimes. And finally, let's talk about how to progress with RPT. First of all, to progress with reverse pyramid training, it's essential to track your workouts. You must know exactly how many reps you did in each set and how hard each set felt. The reason for that is because the weights you're going to use this workout are based 100% on the weights you used last time, on the performance you had your last workout, not on how you feel or what you think you can do. There are 3 methods I use to progress with RPT. I'm gonna share them with you now. Number 1, microloading. This is a progression model that has you add 1.5 to 2.5 pounds total on the bar each workout while keeping the same number of reps. This is the progression model I use for most exercises, such as the bench press. To make it work, you need to get your own fractional plates, because most gyms don't carry weights under 2.5 pounds or 1.25 kg.
Micro plates, man. Fucking sick. I need to order some more.
What I did is I got a pair of 0.5 kg plates, that's 1.1 pounds, and I add them to the bar every workout. For example, last week I did 95 kg for 5, so this week I increased the weight in my first set to 96 kg, and I wanted to get the same 5 reps. Unfortunately, I was only able to get 4 reps in, but that's alright. I could have probably did the 5th rep, but as I said, it's best to avoid the grind. I'm going to get the 5th rep next time. The second and third sets, on the other hand, all went up like planned. I was able to increase the weight by 1 kg in both of them and still do the same number of reps. So although I lost rep in my first set, the second and third sets were a PR. This is the beauty of microloading. You can increase the weight linearly without needing periodization, at least for a while. Next, progression model number 2, independent set loading. With independent set loading, you alternate adding small plates like 5 pounds total or maybe 2.5 pounds total to your first set or your second set or your third set. This is what I use for standing press, for example. Adding 1 kg in all sets for an exercise like standing press is usually too much. So what I do is I add 1 kg one set at a time each workout while keeping the reps the same. I made a video about this 2 months ago and I showed you how I increased my sets alternatively over the course of 3 or 4 months. As you can see, the red numbers represent the sets where I increased the weight. This is yet another very efficient progression model if you don't rush it and you don't push your sets to failure. Pushing your sets to failure will eliminate the predictability of your strength level, and you may be happy that this workout you set a PR, but next week you may find out that you are weaker. I think there are 2 reasons for that. Number 1, you are maybe exhausting your nervous system too much, or maybe you are actually you fail mentally. So you pushed yourself so hard this session that next week you are afraid. You go into your workout afraid that you will miss a lift, and you miss it because of your thoughts. If you doubt your performance, you can usually talk yourself into failure. So I think it's best to keep some strength in the tank and be confident that the next time you will be stronger than you were this time. And finally, the third progression model is reverse pyramid training with double progression. A double progression model means that you increase the weight on a set only when you hit the top end of a given rep range. You first increase the reps and only then you increase the weight. This is what I use when I train with dumbbells. With dumbbells, of course, you can't use micro-loading because dumbbells usually go up in weight by 5 pounds increments. So when training with dumbbells, each set has its own rep range and they are increased independently. For example, when I'm doing incline dumbbell bench press, my rep ranges are 4 to 6 reps in the first set, 6 to 8 reps in the second set, and 8 to 10 reps in the third one. So when I reach the top end of the rep range in a given set, I increase the weight in that set with the smallest increment available. In this workout that I'm showing you, in my first set I did 6 reps, so I got to the top end of the interval. That means the next workout I'll grab a heavier set of dumbbells and I'll still try to get 6 reps, but I'll probably not be able to do that. I'll probably go back to 4 reps in the first set. In my second set, I also reached the top end of the interval because I did 8 reps, so I'm going to increase the weight in that set too, the next workout. Now for my third set, I increased the weight this workout. So I moved up from the 25 kg dumbbells to the 27.5 kg ones. And as a result, I was only able to do 8 reps instead of 10, so I'm down at the lower end of my rep range. My goal now is to add 2 more reps into this set so I can increase the weight again next time. In my opinion, the double progression model is the most difficult to progress with, but for certain exercises, such as when you're working with dumbbells, you can't use micro-loading, so you have to use a double progression model. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. I really hope the information was useful, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'll be answering as many comments as I can, and also any other type of feedback is welcomed. If you want to learn more about reverse pyramid training and how you can set it up in a routine, then I highly recommend you check out the Greek God program, which is the training program that I'm following. And this is where I learned all this stuff from. I highly recommend you check it out. You'll be glad you did. The reason I'm recommending a program is you probably shouldn't change your current routine and change the exercises that you're currently doing and do them in a reverse pyramid training style. Because as I said, you need to have a certain amount of volume and a certain amount of frequency for it to be efficient. So either go on my site and search for some routines that you can find there, or you can check out the Greek God program, which is the training program that I'm using, which was built around reverse pyramid training, because the routines have to be built around a certain training style. Again, if you have any questions, leave a comment below, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. Thanks again for watching. I'll be seeing you next time. See ya.